My name's Logan Reed. I was 38, a combat sergeant with the U.S. Army, 12 tours deep, and still too stubborn to die. But that night was different. It was around 2:30 a.m. when I finally slipped behind cover and dropped onto a half-rotted cot under the skeleton of a roof. The stars above me were cold and far away, like they couldn't bear to look down on what we'd become. I reached for my satellite phone with a kind of hesitation I didn't recognize. I didn't even know what I was hoping for. Maybe just a note, a smile, a picture from back home. Something human. Instead, I found betrayal. Sharp, silent, surgical. The email had no subject line. No, "Hi, honey." No, "I miss you." It just was. "I've moved your inheritance into my personal account. It's better this way." I blinked. Read it again. The words were so cold, so calculated, I felt like I was reading something meant for someone else. But the photo, attached, burned through any doubt. Vanessa, my wife of 7 years, smiling on a hotel balcony. Sunset. Wine glasses. A man beside her with a hand on her waist like he owned it. And her eyes. Those weren't the eyes that used to light up when I walked through the door. They were free. Detached. Gone. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't let the pain explode like it wanted to. I just stared into that screen, like it might blink and say, "Just kidding." But it didn't. That money wasn't just money. It was $423,000 from my mother, a woman who gave up everything to raise me after my father died in a training accident. A nurse who worked triple shifts and left me that inheritance with one final wish: come home. Build something that lasts. Stop running. That was supposed to be the beginning of a new life. A small farm in Colorado. A swing set for Lily. Something still. Something safe. But while I was out there, dodging mortars and burying friends, Vanessa had been making other plans. I typed back, "Thanks for letting me know. Logan." That's all I wrote. Then I stood up, walked outside the blown-out frame of a wall, and stared at the horizon. Somewhere beyond it, my daughter was asleep, maybe dreaming of me, maybe forgetting my voice already. The wind cut through my uniform like it had teeth. I whispered my mom's name into the night just once, then I swallowed everything else. I couldn't fall apart. Not here. Not yet. The next day, I called in a favor. Pete was an old squad mate, smart, resourceful, a little too good at getting into places he wasn't supposed to be. He'd gone private after the Army PI work in Texas mostly. When he picked up, he said, "Logan, you breathing." Barely, I said. "I need a trace. My wife stole my inheritance. She's with another man. I'm deployed. I need names, locations, bank movements. Whatever you can get." He didn't ask questions. Just said, "Give me a week. A week in combat feels like a year." I led patrols, defused roadside bombs, tended wounds. But inside me, something had changed. There was no more warmth, no more softness left to protect. That part of me had been deleted by an email at 3:17 a.m. But it wasn't until 5 nights later that I lost whatever was left of the man I used to be. I got a video call from Lily, my little girl. She had Vanessa's curls and my stubborn eyebrows. She held up a crayon, drawing our family. Me, her, and Vanessa. But there was a fourth figure. A man. "That's Jason," she whispered. "Mommy says he's helping us now." I smiled, nodded, asked her about school. But before the call ended, she leaned close to the screen and whispered, "Daddy." I heard Mommy say, "She hopes you don't come back." The screen froze. The call ended. I sat there still in my gear, staring into the dead screen, feeling like someone had put a knife in my chest and twisted slowly. And in that silence, I stopped being the man who forgives. I became the man who plans. Back on base, I went through the motions, morning drills, checkpoints, debriefs, but the man walking through those days wasn't me anymore. He looked like me, sounded like me, but he was hollowed out. What kept him moving wasn't loyalty or duty. It was fire. Quiet. Slow burning. Deadly. On the 6th night, after the email, Pete called. "She's in Austin," he said, no hesitation. "Living in a condo under his name, Jason Connors, ex-real estate guy. Has a history, 3 bankruptcies, 1 fraud accusation swept under the rug. No real job now. Living large off something." "My mother's money," I said flatly. "And more," Pete added. "Credit cards. New accounts. He's got her moving money fast. I traced 1 offshore wire. She has no idea he's bleeding her out." My jaw clenched. I didn't need to ask how Pete got all that. He'd always been a ghost when it came to paper trails. But hearing it out loud, it made something inside me settle. She wasn't just unfaithful. She was stupid. And now she was prey. "She'd think I'm buying this whole helper story," I muttered. "She's cocky," Pete said. "Probably thinks you're too busy dodging bullets to notice. People like her, they mistake patience for weakness." "She'll learn," I said quietly. "I just want Lily safe." That night, I called in another favor. This time from my old commanding officer, Colonel Frank Merritt. He owed me more than one. Got me approved for an emergency leave under stress trauma, only 5 days, but enough to set the trap. I landed in Austin, wearing civilian clothes and a duffel bag slung over one shoulder. I hadn't seen American soil in 11 months. It smelled like rain and betrayal. I didn't go to her condo. I didn't text. I went straight to the bank. Thanks to Pete, I already had the account numbers. And thanks to some creative authorizations left by my late mother, there was still a clause that required both our signatures to transfer the final chunk of inheritance into any investment vehicle. Vanessa had been draining the outer layers, but the final $150,000, she hadn't touched it yet. I moved it, locked it into a trust fund under Lily's name, non-withdrawable until she turned 21. Any attempt to move or tamper with it would trigger alerts to my phone and Pete's. Then I waited. 3 hours later, I got the message. Vanessa tried to access the account. Then another message. Fraud attempt flagged Jason Connors. False identity attached to request. Police report generated. My hands didn't shake. Not this time. I knew she'd try something. But watching her crash into a wall she thought didn't exist, it was almost satisfying. Almost. But the moment that truly shattered me came that night. I parked across the street from her condo and waited. It was almost midnight when I saw her step outside with Jason. She looked thinner, paler, not the vibrant, confident woman from the photo. Her eyes darted like she was afraid of being seen. Jason walked ahead of her, talking fast, waving his arms like he was in control. She flinched when he snapped at her. I watched her lips move, apologizing, pleading. She was already cracking. Then he pushed her, not hard, but enough. She stumbled, looked around, and that's when our eyes met across the street. I hadn't planned on it, but it happened. She froze. I didn't move. She didn't say a word, just stared at me. A storm behind her eyes, shame, panic, maybe regret, but it was too late. I turned and walked away. That was the last time I saw her, but that wasn't the end. Because the story was never really about her. It was about Lily. And the fight was only just beginning. Returning to the field felt like stepping into a storm with my boots on fire. Everything was louder, sharper. The mortar blasts didn't rattle me like before. What shook me now were memories the kind that didn't bleed, but left bruises in places no one could see. And yet somehow, I moved with more clarity, purpose. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was working toward something. I was reclaiming what mattered. I dove back into combat like it was second nature. Orders came down, and I followed them with precision. My squad noticed it too. I wasn't the same. Even Ramirez, who never missed a chance to crack a joke, stopped short one night and said, "Damn, Sarge, you look like a man who saw the devil and spit in his eye." He wasn't wrong. But between missions, I was building something bigger. Pete had gathered more than I expected. Jason Connors, it turned out, had a long track record of wreckage 3 other women. All left broke ashamed and hiding from the world. One had filed a police report, but Jason's threats and her silence had buried it. Pete found her, spoke to her, got a sworn statement. That was the opening I needed. Through a friend of a friend back home, I connected with a family law attorney named Julia Monroe, former military spouse. No nonsense, sharp as a damn razor. "You ready to take her to court?" she asked on our first call. "No," I said. "I'm ready to take full custody of my daughter." Silence. Then a slow exhale. "Then you better be ready to go through hell." I already had. Hell had a name and a smile, and once smelled like lavender. We built the case for 3 months. Every late-night message, every bank record, the fraudulent transfer, the offshore wire, Jason's history, Lily's testimony. Even the call where my daughter whispered that her mom didn't want me to come home, I had it saved. The video file, the tremble in her voice. Julia said, "You keep your uniform clean. Sergeant Reed will handle the rest." And then something unexpected happened. Vanessa emailed me. She said she wanted to talk. Not about money. Just about Lily, she wrote. "Please." I stared at the screen for a long time. Pete warned me. "She's feeling it. The walls are closing in. That guy's squeezing her dry, and you just locked the last door." I agreed to meet. Neutral ground. A diner off Highway 71. Bright lights. No corners to hide in. When she walked in, she looked nothing like the woman from the photo. Her eyes were sunken. Her smile was hollow. Her hands shook when she reached for the menu, but didn't order anything. "I didn't think you'd come," she said. I didn't respond. She looked down. "I made mistakes." Still, no answer. "He said he loved me," she whispered. "Said I deserved more. And when you were gone, he was there. Every time I cried. Every time I felt alone." "You told our daughter I shouldn't come back," I said quietly. She flinched, then nodded. "I didn't mean it. I was scared. He's not who I thought. He's taken everything." "You helped him," I said. "You gave him what wasn't yours." Tears welled up. "I know. I thought maybe you could forgive me." I leaned in. "I'm not here for you," I said. "I'm here because Lily deserves better. And one day she'll know everything. Not because I'll poison her heart, but because she'll see how much I fought for her when you sold us out." She started crying. I stood up, dropped a 20 on the table, and walked out. That was the end of any doubt in my heart. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. Because war teaches you one thing above all else: never lose sight of the mission. And mine was clear. 6 months later, the courtroom smelled like old wood cold coffee and tension thick enough to choke on. I sat in my dress blues, back straight, heart steady. On the table before me, a folder full of evidence, a photo of Lily asleep with her stuffed bear, and a notarized letter from a woman Jason had conned before Vanessa. Vanessa sat across the aisle. She looked tired. Not the kind of tired you sleep off. The kind that lives in your bones when the lies start to eat through the walls you've built to keep yourself from drowning. She didn't look at me once. The judge took everything in: emails, bank transfers, statements. That video of Lily whispering into the camera, her eyes wide and scared. It played in that silent room, and the air shifted. A few jurors looked away. One woman bit her lip. I just watched. And when it was done, the judge cleared his throat and said 7 words that hit harder than any bullet I'd dodged: overseas full custody awarded to Mr. Logan Reed. No drama, no outbursts. Just a gavel and a moment of silence. I looked down at my hands, scarred, calloused, steady. Outside, Lily ran up to me, arms wide open, shouting, "Daddy!" like the world had been holding its breath, and just now let go. I dropped to one knee and caught her midair, holding her close. She smelled like soap and crayons. I didn't cry. I just held her. That was enough. We started over. A 2-bedroom apartment in Austin. Nothing fancy. But we had a Sunday ritual pancakes with Too Much Syrup cartoons on the couch and Lily's giggle echoing off the walls like music I didn't know I needed. Vanessa didn't fight. She disappeared for a while. Word got around she tried to get back with Jason. He ghosted her, left her stranded and broke. I didn't cheer. I didn't even care. That part of me, the one who wanted her to feel everything I felt, he died the day I saw my daughter smile again without fear. But fate has a strange sense of humor. One rainy afternoon, I stopped at a crosswalk near the grocery store. As I waited for the light, I saw her. Vanessa. Soaked. Thin. Carrying a plastic bag of what looked like canned soup. Her eyes met mine. She froze. I didn't move. No words. No accusations. Just silence. But in that moment I saw it. Deep behind her tired face. Regret. Not just for the money or Jason or the courtroom. Regret for something bigger. Something she couldn't undo. She looked down and crossed the street. I drove away. And as I turned the corner, Lily's voice came from the back seat asking if we could get strawberry milk. "Sure, baby," I said. "Anything you want." Because that was the promise. To protect her. To rebuild. To be the man I swore I'd never have to be. And never regret it.